and that my story is God's story and it is not my own.
Yeah.
I just hope through my actions that I am able to show people that I actually want to change.
He chose to walk with us.
Welcome to Travel Trails. Our guest today is Krystal Beardy, a young lady that we met at the Steinbach Bible College in Steinbach, Manitoba. In another program, Krystal was talking about how she became a Christian and got through the Bible College. If you want to watch this program, you could go to our website, traveltrails.org, and search for Krystal Beardy. Today, she shares about some of her life's challenges a few years ago.
I guess after 2019, COVID hit.
Yeah.
Everything was wild. Things got closed down. Churches got closed down. And I would go to the First Baptist Church a lot.
Mhm.
And that's where I felt, I just loved that church. And I just felt like I was welcomed. It was like a whole family in one church, even though we were all different. But I genuinely just felt and saw that we were all family through Christ.
Yeah.
I guess I went through like a bumpy road during COVID. I guess you could say I ended up smoking a little bit and drinking. And then I slightly wanted to stop until a cousin of mine passed away. And I think it hit me that hard
Mm-hmm.
because I was drinking almost every weekend, and I just thought people are just overreacting by it's just only the weekend. Just thinking about my cousin who passed away time to time was like, I realized how much it actually hit me was because in 2019, my first MX class where we had to go to Winnipeg, I met my cousin. He had encouraged me to keep following Jesus
Mm-hmm.
because I had said some of my testimony over there.
Yeah.
He just randomly got out of the crowd as everyone was thanking me. And then he pushed through the people and he hugged me. And he's like, I know it's hard to follow Jesus in our community, but just keep going.
Mm. Wow.
And he has been an encouraging person in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really felt, I really felt seen just through somebody in my family.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, all right, this is good. So that was like a memory that I have from him.
Yeah.
And I guess just reflecting how much it actually bothered me and how much it actually affected me, I was like, oh wow, I really, really cared for this person, and I really wanted to get to know him like as a brother in
Yeah.
Christ, because how much he really wanted to, how much he really encouraged me. But the fact that he passed was like heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess I slightly drank a little bit more and smoked a little more until churches was lifted up and I actually wanted to try to stop. And I finally got to see my mentor slash sister in Christ
Mm-hmm.
in Thompson. I stayed there for a weekend and then I was like, we were having coffee inside her kitchen. So I asked her, can I tell you something? And I was confessing, just opening up to her what I have been going through at home. And there's some tears shed between the both of us, I think mostly me.
Yeah.
And that's when in that instant, I thought, yes, I want to try to change.
There is more joy in heaven over one lost sinner who repents and returns to God than over 99 others who are righteous and haven't strayed away.
And then I continued just a little bit. I think it was slowly becoming like off my shoulders. There's some hardships and it was going pretty well. It felt like it was peaceful, pretty peaceful. And just realizing like, oh, I wonder if I should go back to school. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. And just enjoying my time with my family. Going to Winnipeg one time with my mom and my nephew and brother. And we're just like enjoying each other. And I guess you could say a little bit of that was like me almost stopping to smoke, but completely trying to stop drinking. And then my mom passed away.
Mm.
It didn't feel real, but I knew it was real because
Yeah.
my grandparents told me.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, I personally thought it was one of my grandparents was something wrong with them, but when I saw them coming out of the room, my heart was pounding more. I felt like my heart knew, but I wanted physical words.
Mm-hmm.
And then I walked, and when they told me, my whole world just shattered.
Yeah.
And most of it felt like it was blurry. And that's when I guess I just continued smoking a lot. But I remember it was the same day or the next day. I remember thinking, I'm done with Christianity. I'm done with everything. I don't want to continue this. I was just getting really mad at God in that moment.
Yeah.
I was in the washroom crying hysterically in silence because I know if I cry, a lot of people would hover over me, pounce on me if I was okay, which was overwhelming for me.
Yeah.
I remember praying in the washroom downstairs. God, I think I know what I'm about to do. I know what I'm about to do to myself, but please let someone come into the house fast, because I was the only one in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just praying, like, God, please, I know what I'm about to do, but when I was about to finish, a lot of people came running in and asking where I was. And then obviously there was condolences.
Yeah.
And I remember being led into my room while there's like so much going on. I remember thinking and praying, and I thought it was my last prayer. God, I'm done with Christianity. And I fell into, obviously, a deep depression. I stopped reading my Bible. I was scared to even think. I never thought of God once in those times. I just felt very empty all over again.
Yeah.
It happened in 2021.
Yeah.
I think it was like in 2022 around January or February or whatsoever. MX2 came to our community, which is like this class at Steinbeck Bible College that they do.
Yeah.
I remember in my room, obviously still continuing to smoke, and my granny was shouting my name. Are you home? Episode. I'm not sure I'm saying that right, but there's people here. I'm like, okay, people. I see a truck outside, but I don't care. And she was like, Bible college people are here. They went to your college. And I remember thinking, I rolled my eyes thinking, I'm done with that. I didn't want to interact with people who are Christians. And and my granny kept on hollering at me. She's like, oh, there's like this one person who looks like an indigenous person. And I was like, she sounds pretty happy about that. But that sounds interesting. I might as well go up, get up. So I got up, went upstairs. They came to my house, and then I just thought, this is great. And I just thought to myself, this feels awkward. I don't even want to be here. But you know what? I have to be kind.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just talking and talking and talking. And each moment I just kept saying, when are you going to leave? When are you going to leave? I just want to go back into my room again. And days went on, and they came again. My granny shouted my name. Oh, they're here again. I was on my bed just contemplating if I should ignore my granny. Just like, I'll pretend I'm sleeping. I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them.
Yeah.
They're here again. Krystal, they're going to take you for a ride tomorrow. I'm like, what is she going on about? Went upstairs and there's talking. And then they went away for a bit because they didn't have any people to host them. So they're like going to Cross Lake, I think, and Thompson until they came back 2 days later. I think it was their last day. And all I could think about was when they came back, when she shouted my name again, they're here again. I remember in my bed, in my room, standing in front of my mirror, thinking, okay, Krystal, this is the last day. They're only here for one more day.
Yeah.
And then I was slowly getting up thinking, I don't want to be here. I mean, I don't want them here until as I got up. I knew they're kind. I enjoyed their presence, but I was like, I knew they were Christians. That's what bugged me in those times.
Yeah.
And then they wanted to sing some songs before they had to meet up with everybody else in Thompson. And I was like, okay, it's just a song. They said a Bible passage, gave my grandparents some gifts. And then they're like, all right, we'll sing a song before we go. When they sang some songs, I felt like my soul recognized that worship song.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the worship song just really need to break that small barrier.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I ended up crying a little bit inside because I forgot what song they were playing, but I remember it really touched me because it felt like my soul was like, I recognize this. Let's go back to this. And then they prayed and we hugged our farewells.
Yeah.
And when they left, as I see their vehicle going out of the driveway and going back that way, I just thought, I regret wanting them. I regret my time of hoping that they could leave, but now I wasted my time of like wanting to be alone. And that longing again is wanting that again.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember they handed me a book, a little journal.
Yeah.
And there's like these verses and little things I could write in if I want to, or I could do whatever I want to do with the journal, as they said to me.
Yeah.
And I didn't touch it for a while, and I finally opened it, and then I was like, typical Bible verses, nice. And this one verse that stuck out, it didn't really say it, but it was in Jeremiah 29:11.
Yeah.
For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future.
I'll probably look at it for a while, in a bit, and I didn't look at it for a while. And then I looked at my Bible and I flipped it to where the Bible verse was. And then before I even read it, I was like, okay, do I really need to read it? And I was like, okay, I'll just read it. It's not going to mean anything. It's not. And as I read it, I just random tears were going down, like as if God was speaking to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, if I remember the Bible verse correctly, it was, for I know the plans I have for you is for good and not for evil, but something for hope. And then I just cried because I remember just like small random memories popping up, like why I wanted to follow Jesus.
Yeah.
And just crying, just realizing that how much I felt like God was talking to me in that moment. Like, it's not for disaster, but it is for good.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is hope
And the future.
in the future. And I just cried and just like, okay, I'll try to follow Jesus again. And then I started to go to work. People were so welcoming. They didn't look at me like I was like this broken dog, or they didn't see me as like they should pounce on me about like, oh, are you okay, this and that and that. But they were like really welcoming. Like I was a person that is trying to live. I remember Granny saying, you should go to school. And I thought to myself, I don't know, but we'll see. Because I'm not gonna lie, I was maybe a bit too focused on my grades and thought, I don't think I'm able to go. And then I opened the tab on the computer as a receptionist. I was taking over for someone.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the SBC page was on there. And I was like, it's just a coincidence. Maybe it was just there a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember praying, Lord, if you want me to go to school, show me a sign of someone telling me again. I know my granny told me a lot, but I don't know what I'm saying. But anyways, amen. And that felt so weird to me. And it was like, oh, okay. Then all of a sudden, a coworker of mine came into the office where I was sitting. And she was like, Krystal, where are you going to school? Go to school. Go to school right now. Well, where are you deciding to go to school? And my jaw slightly dropped. I was like,
Wow.
okay. And I looked at the SBC page on the computer. I'm going back to Steinbach Bible College. Okay, good. You should do it. I'm like, okay. and I signed up for the SPC and doubted God's plan. Like, maybe I won't get accepted. And then I got accepted. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And I signed up for sponsorship, and I also thought, I won't get accepted for sponsorship, because basically doubting in his plans.
Yeah.
And then when people were slightly worried about their sponsorship not answering them,
Yeah.
I was acting like I was slightly sad that I was getting sponsored. I was like, oh no. Yeah, I'm pretty sad that they're not answering my letter for sponsorship. But deep down, I'm like, I'm really doubting that I'm able to go. But I got a letter. You can get sponsored. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm going to sign up at Bible college again. And I went. It has not been easy, and just learning about my relationship and a lot of healing and a lot of reassurance and hope and belonging and reconnecting what community is and what love is, and drawing close to God.
Yeah.
And learning about my relationship with God and how I want to take that seriously to heart for myself and to Him. And only because I remember thinking, God, why do you love me? I'm so this and that, just basically putting myself down. And then just like this thought, this random video a little bit, just saying like this and that, how do you love your family? And I remember closing that video and went for a walk and asking God again, so why do you love me so much? Obviously slightly tears, and then that video popping back in the back of my head, and then just asking that question to myself, then why do you love your family? Why do you forgive your family? Why do you still care for them? And just like all these questions I was asking myself.
Yeah.
And when I had said that, I burst into tears, realizing how it's still unexplainable, but that is like a little example or metaphor, I would say, like God's love is like a parent's love. I mean, I may not be a parent, but they're my siblings, and I really love them, and I forgave them a lot, and I still care for them. I still let them lean on me, and just realizing how God's love was something else, and I'm still grasping onto that, because it's like
Unconditionally.
unconditional love, and now it feels like some of it got me humbled a little bit, and maybe there's some things I may have missed a little bit, but also just like knowing God's love, and also Him revealing some of the sins of mine that I needed to see. I mean, I'm glad that He's able to show me, because it's better to be humbled by God, and it's better to be corrected by God, not to shame or put us down, but to uplift us, and just so that we're able to go to Him. I remember after realizing a little bit what God revealed to me about certain sins that I didn't think I had. I remember crying and went down my knees and just like praying to God, just like how sorry I am, but I'm so grateful that He was showing me.
Yeah.
And just like a whole lot of prayers I was saying to Him in that moment on my knees.
The Lord is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger, and rich in love. The Lord is good to all. He has compassion on all He has made.
During this summer, before I was going to SBC again to be on student council, I was on my bed, moping, complaining a little bit, and just on my bed, thinking like, I think making this excuse again as a human, as a person. I'm too broken to be a leader. I'm too broken this. I don't think I'm able to do this and that and that. And maybe I shall text Josh and Emily, I'm not coming to SBC. I'm not they should find a replacement for me as spiritual life head. Again, just having doubts in my leadership, having doubts in myself about a lot of things. And just putting a lot of shame onto myself. And God's slightly humorous. I opened my phone went on TikTok, and then the first video, God uses broken women, and then put the name couple woman. I was like, I closed my phone. Yep, okay, I'm going. And I went on my laptop, text Josh and Emily about all these arrangements about going to the house and doing my papers and stuff like that. I was like, okay, I'm going. I shall be obedient. And then that story of Jonah and the well, I was like, oh, yep, I don't want to be Jonah in the well.
Wow.
So that's like during that summer. Now I'm here learning a lot
Yeah.
about my relationship with God and myself, and still trying to give a lot to God, and just want to know that, again, everyone's story is different, and we shouldn't compare each other's stories, but to be encouraging with each other, and that my story is God's story and it is not my own.
Yeah.
I just hope through my actions that I am able to show people that I actually want to change.
Yeah.
And yeah, my story or God's story is not done, or He's not done with me, even if I may think I'm done. But God's like, nope, you're not. And He's there unconditionally, and He's there forever. Like my name may not last until the ends of the earth. The only name that would actually stay true is Jesus' name.
Our story is God's story. I think that is a wonderful way to put it. Often, we make decisions in our lives that bring us far away from God. Maybe we are hurt and disappointed with our life and turned our back on God. But remember, there's always a way back. God is always only one step away from us. So, if Krystal's testimony touched you and you would like to come back to God, you can do this right away. Or if you never heard about Jesus this way and you feel the need to get right with God, you can also do this right now. And if you'd like to talk to someone, you could call us on our spiritual helpline, 306-961-2588.